The LA Clippers begin their 6-game East Coast Grammy road trip, and the first challenge came against the Atlanta Hawks, who they just lost to 2 weeks ago at the Staples Center, and they came out with the win to make it 5 in a row. What were the keys to starting the road trip out the right way? Gonna be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, in my 18th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for more NBA, Clipper, and NBA history content. And today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is your best daily fantasy entry app. It's not sports gambling. You're not gambling against anyone else or betting against anyone else. You are just placing your projections versus the Prize Picks projections, whether it'll be more or less than what they project, and you can win up to 10 times your money. You can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. So check out Prize Picks. Today, or should I say Saturday night, the Clippers started their 6-game Grammy road trip, and the first test came against the Atlanta Hawks, and they passed with flying colors. It was not an easy game. It was a game of runs. Going to be talking about how the Clippers got it done. It really does start with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, though, but also the supporting cast. You know, the Clippers were a little bit shorthanded in this one. Robert Covington missed the game due to personal reasons. Marcus Morris is out with that rib contusion, so they're not 100% fully. And, of course, John Wall's still out with the abdominal strain. But Luke Kennard is back. He started yet again alongside Terrence Mann, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and then Zoo. And the Clippers went with Nico Batum, Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell, and a little bit of Musa. Going to be talking about why I didn't love what I saw from Musa and why I feel strongly about something, which I'm pretty sure having listened to this podcast, I think you know where I'm going to go. But let's get right into it. The Clippers played against the Atlanta Hawks, a team that beat the Clippers 2 weeks back in a game that I attended at the Staples Center in a narrow one. Also a game of runs where the Clippers were down like 15 at half. They came back and took a 7-point lead, and then Trae Young just kind of took over the game. That game, however, was played without Paul George. This one, the Clippers would have Paul George. The Hawks had their normal starting lineup perfectly intact. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Clint Capella. And right away, you could see, obviously, DeAndre Hunter was going to guard Kawhi. They went with DeJounte Murray guarding Paul George. Paul George was also guarding DeJounte Murray, Terrence Mann on Trae Young. Kawhi Leonard showed right away that he could not be stopped. Immediately, turn around over the right shoulder for the first basket of the game over DeAndre Hunter. Then he gets John Collins on the switch with Terrence Mann setting the screen. Gets into a pull-up going to the right corner. And then he has DeJounte Murray on a switch. Gets double-teamed in the post, kicks it out to Paul George. And this is the beauty of having Paul George and Kawhi Leonard together. It really takes so much pressure off of Paul George because he had missed like 2 shots before this open 3 that he hit to make it. I think it was the 5th, 6th, and 7th point of the game for the Clips, but he had missed a couple of shots. Now Kawhi Leonard gets him a wide open 3. He hits that, and now he's in rhythm, comes back and hits 2 pull-up jumpers with Clint Capella in drop coverage. And just like that, within the blink of an eye, Paul George had 8 points. So right away, the Clippers' 2 stars asserted themselves. And it starts with Kawhi Leonard, who really cannot be guarded. But as I said, it was a game of runs, and the Clips kind of went cold after, and the Atlanta Hawks were just hot. I mean, everyone was hitting tough shots, from Trae Young to DeJounte to John Collins, who had a really good first quarter, hitting a couple mid-ranges, and then even Aaron Holiday and A.J. Griffin came in and hit a couple of threes, and due to that, the Clippers were down 6 after 1. Clips went to the bench, as I mentioned, and Moussa Diabate was struggling in the pick and roll, I'm not going to lie. The Clips went down by 11, and then they brought Ivica Zubac back in that second quarter with, I want to say 9 or 8 minutes left in the half, and he totally restored order. And Paul George led the second unit, or led that beginning of the second quarter with some of the second unit to a very good quarter. And when Kawhi Leonard came in, he picked up where he left off. But at halftime, Paul George had 17 points. Kawhi Leonard had 12 points. And the Clips shot 13 for 21 in the second quarter. I thought it starts with the defensive end. As we know, Ty Lue has really canned the three-guard lineups. And I'm really happy that even with Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell, and Luke Kennard, and no Robert Covington, no Marcus Morris, he still didn't go to it. The smallest he went was Reggie and Kennard, or Norman and Reggie together, which is great. So he's really learned that as the season has gone on, and I'm very happy about it. The Clips defense starts everything. You know, I thought Ivica Zubac was so great in this game, and he really made an impact on the defensive end. This felt like the Zoo that we saw in the first 20-25 games. He was a presence. 18 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 0 turnovers, 6 for 9 from the field. He was altering so many shots, doing a great job of playing 2 guys at once when need be, and allowing the guy that was getting over the screen, be it Terrence Mann, Paul George, recover and have that assurance that they're going to be covered for a split second as they're getting over that screen. Kazoo is so improved and so much better now at playing 2 guys at once. And Clint Capella is a lob threat, and he struggles with lob threats, usually Zoo. So for him to have a good game like this was awesome. He had 2 monster blocks in the second quarter, just monster blocks. But PG hitting every type of shot you could think of in that first half. Threes, pull-up mid-ranges. I wouldn't say every single type of shot you can think of, because we didn't get too much mid-post PG, but he was just getting to his spots, and he has a big height advantage over DeJounte Murray. And as good of a defender as DeJounte is, he has really good hands, good in the passing lanes. He can't guard Paul George. And PG was also really good in the pick and roll, and Kawhi you could say the same thing about. And it's just so refreshing seeing them on the court together, because when they can spot up and get wide open shots because of the attention the other guy is getting, that's just an amazing thing. That's why the Clippers brought these 2 guys in and traded all that stuff for these 2 guys. And when you see that, you saw it in that game on Saturday night against Atlanta. Paul George kicking it to Kawhi in the corners for threes. Kawhi kicking it to Paul George when he's doubled. It's beautiful. And the Clippers have done such a great job of moving the ball recently because, due to the attention that Kawhi Leonard attracts on the floor. The Clips were up 5 at the half. They had 4 steals and 3 blocks in the second quarter as a team. And the third quarter was just exchanging a lot of buckets, but then Kawhi Leonard went nuclear with 13 points. And as good of a defender that DeAndre Hunter is, he could not stop Kawhi. He was getting to his mid-range, going right, falling away, hitting contested mid-ranges over just about anyone, and the 3-ball was going. And he's got his legs back fully with that 3-ball. A little pep in his step, walking into shots, just sizing guys up and pulling over them. It's just, he's playing so well right now. It's kind of unbelievable, but it's not unbelievable because we know who he is. I think it's just a testament to the modern surgeries and how good they are these days, and of course his work ethic and his drive to get back to this point. I know it's taken a while. It's been a process, but he is looking like every bit of himself offensively that he used to be. Defensively, I think there were still times where he's still struggling a little bit to get over screens the way he once did, and at times I think he's either over-helping or helping a little late. But I think it's going to come as well. That's going to take time for him to fully get to becoming the defender he was in 2021. He still absolutely is a good defender. I'm just looking for that great all-defense level when he locks in, can guard anyone type, and I think that's going to come. But offensively, he was awesome. He had 13 points in the third quarter. And I also thought Terrence Mann was making some really nice plays on both ends of the floor. He was doing a great job guarding Trae Young, and he also did a good job pushing the ball in transition at times and making great plays, like in the first quarter, cross-court pass on the drive to Luke Kennard on the break for an open left wing 3. And then also, I think in the second quarter, a little Euro step lob to Ivica Zubac. Great play by Terrence, just doing a little bit of everything. And in the fourth quarter, the guy that really charged the Clippers up was Reggie Jackson. 7 points in the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, put the Clips up 11. And the Clips, because Musa didn't play well in the first half, they didn't play him in the second half. So they just went with an 8-man rotation of Norman Powell, Nico, and Reggie Jackson coming off the bench. And it ended up being fine. I kind of like the adjustment by Ty Lue. I understand it. He took the game seriously. And Kawhi Leonard it was the second straight game where it wasn't just Paul George plays the whole fourth, Kawhi sits the beginning of the fourth and then plays like 8 minutes on. Kawhi did play like the last 8 minutes of the fourth, but it's the second straight game where he's come in for Paul George. Paul George has started the fourth quarter and then taken a little breather from like the 8-minute mark to about the 4 or 5-minute mark, and then comes in and closes the game. So let's keep an eye on that to see if that's a pattern. But so far it has worked, given that it was the 5th straight win for the Clippers, and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard closed the game. Kawhi came in for multiple mid-range jumpers in that fourth. One of them was an and one going to his right. I think it was against DeAndre Hunter, I believe. Turning that corner, staying low to the ground, and then rising up. His mid-range is like a layup, and it's beautiful to watch. The Clippers have not had a player like this in my time watching them, although Elton Brand's mid-range was absolute cash. However, Kawhi's has the ability to take guys off the bounce. He's a wing player, perimeter player. And you know what's funny is the Hawks still made a push. The Clippers had 3 turnovers and a missed layup on 4 consecutive possessions, and the Hawks cut it to 4, 113 to 109, and then a PG clutch jumper late in the shot clock over DeJounte Murray going to his left and stepping back in the left corner over the Clippers bench with a little over a minute to play was what looked like the dagger, but what really was the dagger was on the next play. DeJounte Murray took a really, really ill-advised contested 3 with plenty of time on the shot clock, and terrible transition defense by the Hawks, who I thought defensively showed some really, really shaky signs. Terrible transition defense. Nico Batum wide open in the right corner for the dagger 3 to put the Clippers up 118 to 109, and the game was over after that. 120 to 113, the Clippers stars doing their thing and leading the way. Paul George with 23 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, only 2 turnovers. So again, doing a much better job of taking care of the ball. 7 for 18 from the field, 3 for 9 from deep, so his 3-ball wasn't that great. He also got to the line 7 times and made 6 of them. And then Kawhi Leonard, the player of the game this time, 32 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal and a block, 2 turnovers, 12 for 20 from the floor. That is 60%. And 50% from 3, 5 for 10. So half his shots are threes, and that's rare for Kawhi, but he was scorching. And Kawhi Leonard played 39 minutes, which is a good amount, honestly. Paul George played 37, which is a little concerning. No doubt they'll be resting the game against Cleveland, but at least the Clippers got a win to start the road trip off, and their stars are the reason why. Clippers win at 120 to 113, have 5 wins in a row. They are 14 and 13 on the road now, and 28 and 24 on the season. But coming up, talked about the stars, but how about the other guys, the supporting cast, including one Reggie Jackson, who was in really high spirits after the game. Going to be talking about them coming up. There's no better app to make daily fantasy entries than Prize Picks. Tomorrow, I am taking Ja Morant, the over on his points. I'm taking the under on the rebounds for Jared Allen. And I am also taking the over on points for Brandon Ingram against the Milwaukee Bucks. And where am I doing that? I'm doing that on Prize Picks. How does it work? All you got to do is pick 2 to 6 players and predict if they will score more or less than the Prize Picks projection. You can win up to 25 times your money on any entry, and it's just you against the app. It's not against anyone else. And Prize Picks offers projections in not just the NBA. You can do them on the NFL, MLB, NHL, college football, men's college basketball is really heating up right now, and entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy, safe and fast withdrawals, and currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Just download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit matchup to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter the promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit matchup to $100. Okay, so the Clippers getting a huge win to make it 5 in a row. And again, Atlanta's a good team, but I like that the Clippers got revenge. They had 2 of their stars to match up with Atlanta's 2 stars. Although I think for the All-Star game this year, Trae Young will be the only Atlanta Hawk attending. But DeJounte Murray is absolutely an All-Star caliber player. But the Clipper stars are just better, and the Clipper team is just better. We are better than the Atlanta Hawks. We should be beating teams like that. And that's why I said, when people said the Clippers have a very tough schedule coming up, absolutely they have a tough schedule. But guess what? When Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are playing, and the Clippers are playing at their best of their ability, there aren't many teams in the league that should be beating this Clipper team. So forget a hard schedule. What should be hard to us? There aren't that many great teams in the NBA right now. I've said that many times this season. There's a lot of good ones. And the Atlanta Hawks are a good one. They're not great. And they showed that with some of their suspect defense and pick and roll. And Reggie Jackson was so huge. I know I've said multiple times that I don't think he should be in the rotation when everyone's healthy. And I'm going to say this. I can be wrong, but here's my thing. If the Clippers want to play a 10-man rotation, I'm absolutely okay with Reggie Jackson getting minutes here and there, because when he heats up, we've seen what he can be, right? The problem is, if Ty Lue wants to stagger in the playoffs, that's fine. But he's got to find a way to incorporate Reggie, Luke, and Norman all at once without playing 3 guards at once. So if he can find the way to manage that, I'm cool. But Reggie Jackson, it was just awesome. Atlanta's not going to be a team we see in the playoffs regardless, but he was so good to start that fourth quarter. I mean, catch and shoot Reggie. I really like the way he's slowly starting to embrace just mainly getting his shots off catch and shoot, and then when he sees a couple go down, then he can maybe get into the pick and roll a little bit. But he started off by hitting a spot-up 3. Norman Powell was the one that created the initial advantage that drew 2 defenders. And after that, he had this beautiful reverse layup where he took Bogdanovic off the dribble. And 2 times in the quarter, Clipper players took Bogdanovic to the basket. One was Reggie, one was Norman Powell. And that reverse layup was Kyrie Irving-like by Reggie. And then after that, he took I forget who it was, I think maybe AJ Griffin, took him right to the basket for a right-handed layup. 7 points in the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, and that put the Clippers up 11 points, 93-82. And before that, they hadn't had a double-digit lead. So Reggie coming out of the gates in the fourth quarter playing like that was absolutely massive. And as I said, 8-man rotation in the second half with Musa having been benched, and there's no Rocco, no senior. But Norman Powell's another guy we got to talk about. I thought he was just so efficient about his shots. But you know what's funny? Looking at the box score now, he's 4 for 11, so he wasn't efficient. But it just felt like he was making the right plays. And I'm not mad at Norman Powell when he misses certain shots, because I know he can make them. And he made big shots in this one. I mean, 2 for 6 from deep. My favorite one was in the fourth quarter when Reggie was hot. Reggie swung it to him in the left corner and then cut for a little give and go. Norman Powell faked the pass. His defender bit a little bit, gave him just that room to hit a 3 and make it 96-84. And I felt even more confident after that. And then he scored on Bogdanovic, like I referenced just a second ago. So he had 5 points in that fourth quarter. So even though he wasn't efficient per se, 4 for 11, 2 for 6 from deep, and only got to the line 1 time, he had 10 points. He was another guy in double figures for the Clippers. And that's all that matters. What really is all that matters is that they got the win. And a huge play, we talk about winning plays. Terrence Mann makes a lot of winning plays. A couple of really nice passes. I really think Terrence Mann has an extremely high basketball IQ. When you go ahead and pay attention to him closer, what he's calling when he has the ball. He knows what his strengths and weaknesses are. He doesn't force anything. And what I love that he does is he moves the ball quickly and he looks to get Kawhi the ball in certain areas where he can attack. When he doesn't like what's going on, he'll say, yo, Kawhi, come on, come get the ball. I like how he tells his star players, come get it. He always looks to make the right play. And I know the right play can be subjective at times, but what I consider the right play, I think Terrence Mann usually looks to make. And he only shot 3 times in this game, but that really doesn't show his impact because he played 35 minutes and did such a really solid job on Trae Young. And the stats wouldn't tell you that with Trae Young, who had 31 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists on 10 for 21 shooting. But he was 0 for 2 from 3, so they did a good job of not allowing him to get any open threes, making him get in the lane. He got to the line 14 times, so he got 11 of his 31 at the foul line. But he also had 5 turnovers, and Terrence Mann had a beautiful block against him in the fourth quarter. I just thought he made his life tougher. You're never going to totally shut down a guy with the skill and ability of Trae Young, who in the pick and roll, especially in drop coverage, he's amazing because he's got one of the best floaters in the league. He's one of the best passers in the league, and he totally killed the Clippers at the end of the last game in drop coverage. But I thought Zoo and Terrence did such a solid job in this one defending. And Luke Kennard also, slowly starting to get his legs back underneath him. 21 minutes. He started this game an efficient 11 points on 4 for 7 shooting, and he made every single three he took. He took 3, made all 3. So Luke Kennard, absolutely awesome in his role. And then Nico Batum. I mean, what more can you say about the guy? Making the little plays. You just never would know what Nico does looking at his stats, but 8 points, 2 boards, 2 for 3 from the field. All his shots were threes, and he made 2 of them in 21 minutes. And Reggie Jackson, the fourth leading scorer for the Clippers after Paul, Kawhi, and Zoo. He had 16 points and 3 dimes and only turned the ball over 1 time, and an extremely efficient 6 for 9 from the field. That's 66%, and 4 for 7 from deep. He was awesome. And the Clippers as a team shot 52.5% from the field and 49% from deep, and 89.5% from the foul line. So overall, basically a 50-40-90 game for the Clips, and that's gonna do you wonders. The Clippers win it 120-113. Move on to 28-24. That's 5 wins on the bounce. They're playing such good basketball right now. Is the team complete? Is this what we need to win a championship? Or should we still tweak things a little bit? Going to be talking about something that I kind of had to realize, even though I didn't want to, coming up. Go to TurboTax and don't do your taxes. Meet with an expert who'll do them for you. TurboTax experts can relieve you from the stress of taxes and file for you so you can do not taxes. Show your eyes things that are not taxes. Unpack a moving box of not taxes. Taste not taxes. Sing not taxes a lullaby. Hope not taxes sleeps through the night. Grab a saddle and ride not taxes into the sunset. With TurboTax, an expert will do your taxes from start to finish, ensuring your taxes are done right, guaranteed, so you can relax. Feels good to be done with your taxes, doesn't it? Come to TurboTax and don't do your taxes. Visit TurboTax.com to learn more. Intuit TurboTax. Yes, Intuit, like the Intuit Dome. Full service products only. Video meeting while expert does your taxes required. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. The Clip Show, making it 5 in a row. One thing I realized in this game, though, is my main man, Musa. It's nice to see him playing more. He played 5 minutes, but I don't think he's ready to play in the playoffs. And the reason why I say that is because offensively he's still extremely raw. He doesn't really have that skill yet. And he's a little undersized. Definitely needs to put on some weight in the summer. But he's 6'10" and plays the center for us. And he's just very, very raw. I think there were a couple times in pick and roll where he was caught in no man's land, just in between the ball handler and the roller. And the Hawks took advantage of that. There was even one time where he switched on to Bogdanovich and he got right by him for a layup. I just think that it's tough. NBA players are really good. It's going to take time to adjust. And right now, it's a win-now situation where he doesn't have enough upside on the offensive end. Because the reason why I was saying the Clippers should play him and give him a shot is because defensively, he looked like he has the ability laterally to stay in front of guys, switch 1 to 5. He's really active. Better than Moses Brown, absolutely. But he's still very raw, and I really still want to give him reps. I think the Clippers should absolutely still give him reps in this season, and in this 2-way contract that he's on for the remainder of the season. And I do think that the Clippers' plan was to play Musa in the second half of the season and play Moses in the first, because I think they're smart. They're not like what we think, or some people think, I should say. But they saw that Musa in the preseason was switching on everybody and was doing a lot of great things. So they said, you know what? Let's have him do his 50 games, his 2-way contract, complete his in the second half of the season. But I think the Clippers should absolutely try to go get a backup big. Whether it means Marcus, Reggie, or someone goes, I don't think they should trade Luke Kennard. But that's the best player I think they should consider trading. No Terrence, no Nico, none of that. Because the Clippers playing Nikola Jokic or something, in Denver Nuggets in the playoffs, or even Memphis, who has a lot of size, they should get a backup big if Zoo gets in foul trouble. I don't think Musa and Moses are going to be ready, and I don't think that small ball lineup will always work. There will be times where we need to get rebounds or we need to match up with size, and I think that you just need to have it as an insurance policy, and Moses Brown and Musa are not playable in the playoffs. That's my opinion after seeing a couple games now of Musa. I really want to still see him play. If you think that's knee-jerk, give me in the comments below. Let me know, actually, in the comment. That'll be today's pinned question. Do you think Musa and Moses or Musa or Moses can play minutes in the playoffs, or should the Clippers actually go get a backup big? I know I've asked that so many times, but now we have some more stuff to go off of. But anyway, I'm just so happy with the way this team is playing right now. And it all starts with Kawhi Leonard. I've said it all this season. It's just funny how us Clipper fans have tortured ourselves talking about all these different things the Clippers need to do, what's wrong with the team. The simple fact of the matter is Kawhi Leonard is showing everybody right now why basketball is the sport where one player means the most. One player can take you from a play-in team that we are without him to a championship contender. One player who attracts attention, that makes Paul's life easier, which makes everyone's life easier, which gives you confidence on both ends of the floor. It's just insane how much one player can affect this game. And Kawhi Leonard immediately makes us a championship contender. I love that he's been on the court in basically every game since that Charlotte game, barring back-to-backs. When I say that Charlotte game, I mean the one on the road where him and Kawhi came back. Of course, him and Paul George came back. Of course, Paul George missed a couple of games with the hamstring injury, I believe it was. So many injuries, I forget which one, like when guys have which injuries, but I'm pretty sure it was hamstring. But Kawhi's been on a tear. He's been absolutely on a tear, and I need to talk about his updated stats, right? I just love seeing them continue to increase. And in his last 10 games, Kawhi, 29 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists on 59% shooting and 46% from 3 and 92% from the foul line. Insane. Playing 36 minutes. His minutes now for the season are up to 31.3. His field goal percentage is at 51, and now his three-point percentage is at 35 after being at 13. He's now averaging 21 points a game, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists to go along with a steal a game. And when we look at the Clippers stats as a team, Kawhi Leonard is now their second leading scorer, and he has played 27 games. So not bad. The Clippers have played 52 games. He's played 27. He's missed 25 games. He's not going to play every game for the rest of the season, but there's looking like it's a good chance that he could play over 50 games. And I said I would prefer if it's 60 or more for both him and Kawhi, for him and Paul. But if we could get Paul George playing over 60, he's played 36, and we can get Kawhi playing 50 plus, we absolutely can still get a top 3 seed. And the Clippers now, I'm happy to report, they are officially in 4th place. I've talked about it for weeks that New Orleans was going to slip with Zion and Ingram out. And even though Ingram is back, he's still working his way back into things. And Zion is still out. And just like that, the Pelicans are 26-24. The Clippers are 28-24 in 4th place. And if the season ended today, they'd have home court advantage. So despite all the BS that's happened this season, the load management, the inability to stay healthy, all of it, the lineups, the 3-guard lineups, the Clippers are still in 4th place. Was it all part of the plan, or have they just been lucky with a West that's been so beating everybody up that only 2 teams have stood out? Probably a little bit of both. But that's going to do it for me. Thanks for making Locked On Clippers your first listen today. Now make your second listen Game-to-Game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game-to-Game covers games from across the league, from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers. Paul George, 23.5 points a game. Kawhi Leonard, 21.3. And Paul's honestly on the way of being caught. Go Clippers, the age-old proverb. Sheesh.